Imagine living next to a neighbor who not only makes your life a living nightmare, but also destroys your property, accusing you of spying on her. That's what happened to me when Karen, the most unbearable neighbor you could ever imagine, moved in next door. Karen neighbor destroys my security cameras, claims I'm stalking her. May seem like an exaggeration, but it's a chilling reality. Here's how it all went down. In our suburban neighborhood, where the biggest excitement used to be the annual block party, Karen's arrival was like a storm cloud on a sunny day. She moved in next door with an air of superiority and a knack for finding fault in everything and everyone. I tried to stay out of her way, but our paths crossed more often than I would have liked. The security cameras were my attempt at peace of mind. After a spate of break-ins in our area, I wanted to ensure my family's safety. The cameras were discreet, barely noticeable unless you were looking for them. But Karen noticed. Her first confrontation was almost comical in its absurdity. "You're spying on me," she accused, her voice shrill enough to wake the neighborhood. "It's for security, Karen. They're not even pointed at your house," I explained, showing her the camera angles on my phone. She squinted at the screen, her lips pursed. "I don't believe you. You're using them to stalk me." I sighed, realizing this was a battle I couldn't win. I hoped she'd let it go, but Karen was like a dog with a bone. The day she destroyed my cameras, I felt a mix of disbelief and anger. I watched from my window as she swung the bat, her face twisted in rage. The sound of crashing cameras was like a physical blow. "Karen, stop! You're destroying my property!" I shouted, but she was lost in her own world of paranoia. The police arrived, and Karen turned on the waterworks. "He's stalking me with those cameras!" she sobbed to the officers, who looked as baffled as I felt. Despite the lack of evidence supporting her claims, the incident left a stain on my reputation. Neighbors whispered, and I felt their eyes on me, questioning, judging. In the weeks that followed, Karen's behavior escalated. She would stand at her window, watching my house for hours. If I stepped outside, she'd come out and hurl accusations. "You're not fooling anyone. I know what you're up to," she'd snarl before retreating back into her house. I tried to ignore her, but it was like living next to a ticking time bomb. I never knew what she would do next. The note in my mailbox was the last straw. "I know what you did last summer. You can't hide," it read, in Karen's jagged handwriting. I racked my brain trying to figure out what she was referring to. My summer had been uneventful, but Karen seemed convinced otherwise. I realized then that this wasn't just about the cameras or her paranoia. Karen was creating a narrative in her mind where I was the villain, and she was the victim. It was a dangerous game, and I was an unwilling participant. The note was a warning, a sign that Karen was capable of more than just vandalism. I felt a chill run down my spine as I considered my options. Moving away seemed like the only solution, but it felt like a defeat, like letting Karen win. As I pondered my next move, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Karen was more than a nuisance. She was a threat, and I was caught in her web of delusions, with no clear way out. The story of Karen, the neighbor from hell, was far from over, and I had a sinking feeling that things were about to get a lot worse. Wow, what an intense story. Living next to a Karen sounds like a nightmare. Can't believe she actually destroyed the cameras. Stay safe out there, folks. Looking forward to the next episode to find out what happens next. You ever have something so precious, so valuable that you do anything to protect it? That was my $900 prom dress, a symbol of my hard work and independence. But when my stepdad purposefully ruined it, it felt like my world came crashing down. Here's how it all went down. I've never posted on here before, but I really need advice because I'm so distraught and have no idea what I should do. I'm only 17 and don't know if there's any legal action I can take. So, for a little background, I live with my biological mom and her husband since my dad and mom separated and were never married. I originally lived with my dad since I was 2. He won custody during the custody battle. However, he later lost custody of me after having a severe work accident that made him paralyzed and he wouldn't be able to take care of me. Even so, I still see him every weekend and the whole summer. I moved in with my mom and her husband and their 2 sons, 1 stepbrother and 1 half-brother, when I was 10. And ever since then, my stepdad basically directly and indirectly says that I've disrupted their lives by coming back into my mother's life because I'm an additional person they have to take care of. I've been working since I was in the 10th grade and saving up for my senior year college since last year with the money from my job. My mom and her husband let me know that only my mom would help me with the basics, such as my graduation cap and gown, senior dues, and senior class photo. Anything else, I would have to pay for myself, such as the prom. I get paid about $400 every 2 weeks from my job, which I've been saving in full, and then making extra money doing nails about $100 a week plus tip, which I use as my spending money. Since it's my senior and last year of high school, I've been wanting to go all out for prom, so I set an $800 budget for my prom dress. My prom is in April, and I wanted to get my prom dress early since most of the actual cute ones sell out quickly. So I went prom dress shopping in December and found a beautiful dress that cost $890. It's dark green with a long train with rhinestones embedded into it with glitter in the dress. When I first showed my mom and stepdad the dress, they asked how much it was, which I told them the amount, and my mom said that she wouldn't be paying for a dress that expensive. To which I replied, it's okay because I have more than enough money saved up to buy it, and I'll still have a lot of money left over. $23K to be exact, but only my mom knows that. My mom said I could get the dress and that it was very pretty. However, my stepdad said that it's irresponsible and a waste of money, and I should use it for better things like helping out the family and paying some of the bills. And get a dress cheaper that's max $300. Mind you, both his sons own PS5 and multiple $200 plus shoes. In the end, my mom disagreed with him and I ended up getting the dress, and she even put $150 towards it. However, ever since then, he constantly brings up that I help pay for things around the house since I have so much money to throw away. But my mom always shuts it down saying that I work hard for my money to save it, and I already help out with paying the Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu bills, while my stepbrother, who is 18, doesn't pay anything. Last Saturday, we had a serious disagreement because my stepdad suggested that I should help my stepbrother pay for his prom. I disagreed and responded with a firm no. He later called me selfish and stated it was unfair that I get an expensive outfit while his son doesn't. I responded curtly saying that it was not my child, nor my problem. He later tried to complain to my mom and she agreed with me and stated that if anything, his son should pay for his own prom. Well, when I woke up from a nap today, I noticed my prom dress was missing from my closet as it usually hangs in the very front. I looked around for it and asked my stepdad if he had seen it since my mother was at work. He responded with a condescending smile that he had, and in fact, he was washing it. I immediately ran downstairs and saw my dress being washed on the heavy-duty cycle. I canceled it immediately, but the dress was already ruined. Most of the rhinestones had come out and the glitter was washed out. The whole dress had been mangled. I took one look at it and then put it into a trash bag and left for my friend's house with the dress. I texted my mom and sent her pictures, but I am currently at my friend's house and laying on her bed. My friend's parent hung it outside to allow it to air dry so my stepdad can't blame them if it was dried in the dryer. I know he did this out of spite because he never washes clothes, cooks, or does anything since he says he's the man of the house so he shouldn't have to. So there was no viable reason he could have for washing it, even if it needed washing. Is there anything I can do? I know neither of them can replace it because they are in a tough financial situation. I will update you guys when my mom gets home. So far, my stepdad has called twice, but I haven't answered him. And my mom's at work and can't receive calls. My mom and I just got off the phone and she's angry and on her way home. She's currently on her way home, so my friend, her dad, and I are on our way to my house. My mom said she was going to call the cops as soon as she got off the phone, so they may be there by the time I get there. We've taken pictures and my uncle, my mom's brother, will be over there by 8 because I contacted him while at work. I've listened to all your suggestions about withdrawing my money out of my account, so I'm thinking, and I talked to my dad about that as well, and he told me I can stay with him. When I got home, my friend stayed in the car while her dad walked me in, and my stepdad was already gone. However, police were at the house. As of now, the police said they can't really arrest him because it's not like he broke the law of stealing. I don't know how to explain it. Basically, this theft isn't breaking the law because he washed it and didn't keep it. They suggested I can get a confession and get him to pay or take him to small claims court. Also, the dress is non-refundable if damaged, so I can't return it or anything. While explaining to my mom what happened, I kind of fumbled my words and started crying, and she hugged me as I cried. She said that he's going to pay for this. This financial issue has been an ongoing disagreement, and I think he just pulled the last straw because she is angry. Also, I talked to my uncle, and he's actually off work and on his way over here. He and my stepdad apparently have a rough history since my dad has been rude towards him in the past. While explaining to my uncle what happened, he said that it would be alright, and if anything, he'll buy back the dress before it sells out. So, I'll have my dress by prom, but he does expect my stepdad to pay me back one way or another, so I'm basically getting my dress for free. Maybe that's a little win. I'll update more probably later tonight, but things seem to be good. To clear up some confusion, I pay the streaming service bills because I really want to watch the shows on those services. And my mom works hard, but doesn't make enough to have those services on top, so I've offered to pay them, so we could have them. She's not a horrible, I'll pick my husband over you mother, and she always defends me. And he's never pulled a stunt like this, just tries to convince her to control my money and savings. She's never spent my savings either. I feel like that's why they always clash because he has a mindset of, we have all these financial troubles and your daughter could solve them with her savings and you have access to them. My uncle came over and he and my mom had a small argument because he blamed her for enabling my stepdad's behavior by not leaving him. which he believes is why my stepdad felt comfortable doing what he did. She argued back, stating she always defended me against him and has never taken any of my money, which is true. We all talked about it for a bit, and she revealed that they had actually had an argument last night about paying off a car payment. She had made a comment about how all these bills are taking a toll on her, and he countered with a comment about how it wouldn't be that much of a toll if she used my savings and didn't allow me to spend it on unnecessary things. She got mad and defensive because he keeps bringing it up. He also said that the $900 I spent could have paid off that car payment for the next 2 months. By the way, he only knows about my savings because he knows how much I get paid and that I've been saving all of it. So we think that's what triggered him to throw my dress in the washer. My mom and stepdad have also been texting back and forth, and he admitted that he washed it to teach me a lesson that I shouldn't spend that much money on a dress that can be destroyed that easily. But he put the setting on heavy duty, so he obviously intended to destroy it. My uncle has also offered to replace the dress, so I don't need to worry about not getting to wear my special dress. We called the boutique and explained it to them, and they say they can order another dress, although it won't be there until February 23rd, which is fine to be honest. My mother sent my stepdad a long threatening message basically calling him out. She's quite heated right now, so I'm going to try and ask for a screenshot later. Her and my father also spoke and decided that it'd be best that I get my own bank account so that my stepdad can't use the excuse that she has access to my account. So that's also great. My mom and I had a talk about what's going to happen after this, and she said she's not sure as of just yet because it's all a little too much for her. She's seriously contemplating leaving him, but I guess she doesn't want to actively discuss that right now. Also, my stepdad is currently at a friend's house. I'll continue to update. Possibly may get one tomorrow. My friend's parents are going to keep the dress at their house, and I'm going to pick it up tomorrow to have as proof. My uncle has transferred me $1,000 for my prom dress, and I'm actually planning on using the money to replace the dress and buy new shoes. He's very well off, which was one reason I contacted him in the first place. So I plan on just calling the boutique and seeing if they can reorder it, and I'll just pick it up from there sometime in February. However, my stepdad still must pay in some form, or at least we are trying to get him to. My uncle has called my other uncles and aunts, with my permission, to basically vent about the situation. So majority of my mom's side, who all live in Georgia, knows about what happened. I woke up to a lot of text about the situation, given sympathy as well as money to have for prom, which have totaled to about $300. So this is great. My mom has also contacted my step-in-laws, who then spread the news with pictures, and I guess most of them are shocked as well. Other than his mother, his is buying his claim that it's just a dress, and it was an accident despite evidence. I got a call from my stepdad's sister sympathizing for me. And through conversations with, I learned that my stepdad has also been asking a lot of his family to help him with his finances. Because for some reason the dude has bought so many things to pay off, he can't keep up with them. My mom called my stepdad for answers, which we recorded. And he's basically trying to blame her because if she didn't upset him off last night, then he wouldn't have done it. And that he was trying to show me why I shouldn't be irresponsible with money because I guess he planned to lecture afterwards. Also, my mom has broken up with him because he blamed her for caring more about me than him, which is weird. Which ensured in an argument with her saying, "You think I care about her more than you, you're gonna see just how much I do." Also, they've been on a rocky relationship since he can't manage money. And this was her breaking point. Update 6, January 16th, 2024. Edit Update 6. Sorry to post on here. Reddit keep telling me to try again later, so sorry again. Okay, so a lot of nonsense has transpired. Firstly, we've placed an order for my dress, and they are shipping it now, and it should be at the boutique by February 23rd, so all that is taken care of. My stepdad and mom are officially broken up, and my mom said she doesn't know if she'll move on with divorce proceedings yet because everything is still fresh and lawyers are expensive and she can't afford it right now. Also, they have a prenuptial agreement so they don't share assets, and the house is my mother-dad house she inherited. She had a different dad than all her siblings, and all her siblings share a dad. So my stepfather showed back up with his brother after a while, and my stepfather decided to buy me a new dress from Macy that looks similar to dress in color and length, but it's very tasteless and ugly, and looked nothing like the original. He then tried to apologize, saying it wasn't his intention to ruin the dress. He claimed he was only going to wash it to demonstrate why such purchases were impractical, and then he would have bought me another dress. However, this explanation makes no sense. Also, my uncle came back to my house after I texted him my stepdad came back. He was at the store, and they got into a big argument where basically my uncle demanded to know why he destroyed the dress, and my stepdad said he not gonna walk up in his house demanding nonsense, and my uncle called him a jerk. And then my stepdad said to call him a jerk again, which he did, and they ended up fighting. My stepdad lost. He threatened to call the cops, but we reminded him that he swung first. After that, my stepdad went on a tirade and fussed us out and left and took the dress with him. We are actually planning on taking all your advice and taking him to small claims court given the evidence and the damage, and hopefully we win. Also, my stepdad is staying at his parents' house currently. Lastly, for all curious about my brothers, they are 15 half and 18 step. The 15 was at his girlfriend's house since Friday, so he wasn't home for any of the commotion, but did reach out to me today. I love him so much. And the 18-year basically sided with his dad, so that's all there is to say. Also, those who suggested changing the streaming's passwords, I have changed them. And my mom and I are going to get me my own bank account later today. Thank you guys for all the support. I'll continue to update as things come in our plans of action and the verdict and all. The story serves as a stark reminder of the emotional and financial implications of relationships and family dynamics. It is disheartening to see a young woman's hard-earned accomplishment being destroyed out of spite and ignorance. However, her resilience, the support from her mother, and the empathy from her uncle are inspiring. It's a harsh lesson, but it underlines the importance of understanding and respecting the financial independence and personal choices of others. It also sheds light on the potential legal consequences of such actions, reiterating that it's not just a petty domestic dispute, but a matter of personal rights and dignity. I found myself in a predicament I never thought I'd face, questioning if I was the jerk for wanting to move out of my own flat because my roommate decided her boyfriend would live with us for 2 months. Caught between frustration and guilt, I was torn about whether I was being unreasonable or just standing my ground. Was I really the bad guy for not wanting to live in a cramped space with a couple I didn't sign up for? Here's how it all went down. My flatmate messaged me the day before she was due to arrive back home from vacation to let me know that her boyfriend would be coming back to live with us for 2 months, and he would be finding a job while he lived with us. He moved overseas to live and work for a year, and then if things didn't work out in the other country, he would probably move back with her. I was really upset. She let me know less than 24 hours that he would be living with us, and she didn't ask either. Just let me know it was happening. I said I wasn't okay with it, and I was really clear that this is completely unfair on me and disrespectful. Our house is quite small, and I didn't agree to live with 3 people in a small 2-bedroom house, let alone a couple. She said sorry, but she will do what she can to make sure I'm not inconvenienced. I let her know if this was happening he had to pay his share. I wasn't happy, and I wouldn't be around much. We used to spend a lot of time together hanging out and watching similar TV shows, and I let her know that I wouldn't do that anymore and instead would just do my own thing in my room or stay out of the house. She said she agreed with me and she would talk to him. When I got home after work, they were both there like nothing was wrong. When her and I finally got to talk on our own, I repeated everything I had said and she agreed with everything and let me know it's only for 2 months, hopefully. I asked if he was moving back because I would move out. I don't want to be living in limbo. She said he wasn't, and she didn't want to change her life when he would leave. I asked if she was sure because he's here for 2 months, and I seemingly got no choice in this. So what if he decides to stay, and then what happens to me? She said she spoke with him, and he's really depressed that things didn't work out how he thought in the other country, and she doesn't want to push him or upset him. I let her know I still wasn't happy about this situation, and she agreed. And then nothing happened? I said I wouldn't hang out much. I'm annoyed, and I don't want to get so frustrated that I end up saying hurtful things because I feel stuck and unhappy. I thought about it, and even though it's only been a week, I'm still really uncomfortable about it. So I decided to tell her that I want to move out, or he needs to find somewhere else to stay for 2 months because I don't want to be uncomfortable in my own house. I feel bad because I know I've put her in a bad situation because she obviously hasn't spoken to him about all this, or if she has, they are both pretending everything is fine, making my feelings about this seem very dismissed. Also, if he does move back overseas after 2 months, she's then stuck with a lease she probably can't afford on her own. But I also don't want to be living for 2 months in a situation I never agreed to and then possibly at the end of it, having to find a new place anyway. I've managed to organize moving out. I gave her a month's notice and I'm being removed from the lease and relocating. The experience has been uncomfortable and I admit I could have handled it better. This all happened just before Christmas, which was unfortunate. I had another conversation with her and was firm. She seemed to understand and told me that he would be leaving for a week before returning briefly and then departing again. However, he never ended up leaving and suddenly it was Christmas Eve. She was preparing a Christmas dinner for the 3 of us while I was at work. I felt terrible because I was still upset and felt deceived, yet I couldn't express my anger because it was Christmas and she was cooking dinner. I wasn't keen on accepting her kindness given how I felt. My coworker convinced me to speak up. I felt terrible, but I said what I had to say. I told her that since he never left as per our agreement, I would be moving out. She canceled the dinner and wouldn't speak to me. Later, she told me that she had asked him to stay because she didn't want to be alone. She was upset because she felt her feelings weren't considered, and she was distressed about not being able to please us both. She suggested that I should speak directly to him instead of using her as a go-between. I was confused and asked if it would be her responsibility to address a guest if I had one she had a problem with. I've been venting to my best friend about this situation, which in hindsight was a mistake since she's friends with my flatmate. My friend has decided to end her friendship with my flatmate because of her behavior. I feel responsible and have tried to persuade her otherwise, but she's firm in her decision. I didn't want to move out. I enjoyed living with her. However, I couldn't overlook her disregard for the fact that it's also my home. So next week I'm moving out. I feel bad about how things turned out, but I also feel relieved. It's clear that open communication and respect for shared living arrangements are crucial. The flatmate's lack of consideration for the feelings and comfort of her roommate, by moving her boyfriend in without prior discussion or agreement, created an uncomfortable living situation and ultimately led to the breakdown of their relationship. It's a potent reminder of the importance of setting boundaries and having clear, open conversations in shared living situations. You might think I'm a heartless jerk wanting to co-parent and separate instead of fixing my marriage. Here I was, a stay-at-home mom to an adorable toddler, unknowingly competing with my husband's secret lover. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of my emotional roller coaster. Here's how it all went down. When my husband, 29 years old male, and I, 27 years old female, decided to have a child, I believed we had a happy marriage and a financially stable future. My pregnancy was high risk, and due to health complications, I was going to end up using a significant portion of my medical leave before the child was born. Together, we decided that I'd quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom for a few years and then return to the workforce. After our son was born, I experienced postpartum depression and severe anxiety. My recovery was complicated and I received no help from family. I have limited contact with my family and my mother-in-law had passed away, while my father-in-law showed no interest in helping. My husband expected me to become a full-time housewife as soon as we got home with the baby and stopped helping with anything related to the home or baby because he considered it my job now. I was fortunate to get involved with a mom's group that helped me a lot. Otherwise, I would have been very lonely and stressed. When our son was 10 months old, I saw some messages on my husband's phone indicating that he was having an affair. I don't know when it started, but a lot of his working late was because of that. At that time, my mental health was not good, and I became frightened that he'd divorce me and take my baby. My reaction wasn't even anger at him. It was as if my love for him had disappeared and was replaced by absolute fear. I didn't confront him, and he didn't realize that I knew. I ignored it and tried to deal with all my issues myself while living in a constant fear of getting kicked out without my son. I know that wasn't a reasonable assumption and I have rights, but I can't explain why my head was stuck in that mode back then. I moved into my son's room, separated myself from my husband, but continued being a good stay-at-home mom. The sad thing is that he didn't even realize that I wasn't living in our room anymore. He received home-cooked meals, a clean house, and got to play with our son whenever he was home and didn't care about me at all. When our son turned 2, I found a job and needed to put him in daycare. My husband opposed this because he liked how things were and wasn't willing to pay for it. I went ahead with getting employed and the majority of my paycheck goes to pay for the daycare. The rest is my car payment and a very small amount for savings. Over the last few weeks, my husband has been home more and acting depressed as I found out that his affair partner has dumped him. Now he's acting like the past 3 years were normal and wants intimacy and regular relations with me. I told him that our relationship was over when he stepped out of his marriage and he can start a different affair if the first one didn't pan out. He got angry about that and accused me of being a cold-hearted gold digger. He put me through agony and hell, and I am here because I love my son and want to be with him every day, not 50% of custody, so I am dealing. But he believes he's the wronged party here. I have become accustomed to the situation and I am okay with us living separately like roommates and raising our son. I don't care who he dates or loves. If things change down the line when my son is going to school and is less dependent on me, or if I fall in love with someone, then I'd file for divorce. If he wants a divorce, that's okay too. I have consulted with a divorce lawyer already, and I know I'll get half of the equity in our house, half of his 401k, and either child support or shared expenses into our son's needs. Living in this house with our son is more convenient for me right now. He is arguing that because I didn't say anything when I found out about the affair, I have no right to bring it up now that it is over. My parents agree with him and say that since I chose to ignore the affair, it has no bearing on our relationship now. My husband wants to go into marriage counseling, but I don't see a point to that. The only two options acceptable to me are the status quo as is now or divorce. Does that make me a jerk? We have been having non-stop arguments. I tried disengaging and gray rocking, but that did not help. He fluctuates between expressing excessive affection and being around all the time, to yelling and raging at me. I agreed to couples counseling with the goal of having a better co-parenting arrangement. He told the counselor he still wants the marriage to work out. We had some proper organized discussions which were useful. We were both asked to lay out our resentments. Mine was the years-long affair, obviously. I don't think anything beyond that needs to be said. But of course, there's the neglect, the lack of help, the absence from home, and the fact that I have to pay for our son's daycare without any contribution from him. His list of resentments were surprising. He says that I ruined his experience of becoming a father because I was difficult and neurotic. My painful pregnancy and medical complications were unnecessary drama to him. When we agreed that I'd be a stay-at-home mom till our son started school, he was envisioning a picture-perfect home with a beautiful wife and child who cater to him. He's upset the reality was nothing like that and is convinced that I tricked him. He's a selfish individual, but he was also encouraged and enabled by people around him who talked this up, including my parents. I've always known that my parents didn't love me much, but I have come to realize that they resent me and look down on me. The first year of our son's life, he was a bit sickly, preemie, and had acid reflux, so was clingy to me. He resents me for that too. Now that our son is a healthy toddler that can run around and throw a ball, he's more interested in engaging with him. The whole thing was a pretty painful exercise for me. I restarted my own individual therapy. I had made myself numb to his actions. I grew up that way, thanks to my neglectful parents, and was ignoring issues to focus on my son, but my husband did a good job of opening up all the scabs. I learned a lot more than I wanted to about his affair partner too. Now that I am physically recovered, lost a lot of weight, ironically from stress, and look well put together, I am good enough to be his partner again. Anyway, I filed for divorce. I think it'll take a year and then some for it to go through. I'll stay here and not move out till we sell the house and divide assets. OP's journey from discovery of the affair to ultimately filing for divorce is filled with pain, resilience, and a fierce dedication to her child. It's a stark reminder of how betrayal can shatter trust, but also how strength can be found in the most challenging situations. Am I a jerk for not letting my husband meet our firstborn child? This question has been echoing in my mind ever since the day of her birth, an event marked by betrayal and heartbreak. In the midst of my labor, my husband wasn't there for me, choosing to be with his best friend, Anna, instead. Here's how it all went down. My husband has a best friend, Anna. They have been friends for a long time and dated years ago, mutually deciding that it's best for them to remain friends. I have had no problem with this relationship until now. On the day that I gave birth, Anna's brother got into a car accident. My husband received a call from her in the middle of the night, and she asked him if he could drop her at the hospital where her brother was, an hour away from us, since she was too scared to drive. My husband agreed, quickly told me while I was half asleep, and rushed out. A few hours later, I had contractions and called my husband. He didn't pick up after multiple tries, so I gave up and called my dad, who drove me to the local hospital, 12 minutes away. I was so scared of giving birth alone since I've had about 3 miscarriages and 1 stillbirth. My husband promised me that no matter what, he'd be there for me. Guess what? He wasn't. We called multiple times while I was in labor, and when he finally picked up my dad's call when I was giving birth, saying that he'd misplaced his phone in the chaos, my dad informed him that no matter how fast he drives anymore, he's going to miss the birth of his child. Well, my husband took that as, he's already messed up, so it doesn't matter when he shows up at this point. So when he finally arrived, our daughter was about 5 hours old, and I'd already moved to the maternity ward. When he arrived, I refused to let him see our baby. I did let husband hold and play with baby after discharge because I was overwhelmed with emotions and was shaking when I saw him and didn't want it to negatively affect my time with the baby. I wanted her birth to be a happy time and I was already struggling to feed her. My husband was in a bad state and pleaded with me to let him see her, so I told him to stand by the window and held the baby up so he could see her. I told him to then leave and he'll be allowed to interact with the baby at my father's home when we're both well and out of the hospital and that I was most likely divorcing him. He started crying and apologizing, defending himself by saying that Anna's brother was in a serious critical condition, and although he's fine now, Anna needed him. Although Anna's parents were there, she's not that close with them and she was in an unbearable state. I told him that I didn't care, and that his daughter has already come second to him and all she did was be born. I'm putting my daughters and my health first and won't let her be sidelined. My husband agreed and left. However, Anna called me later and said that I was being controlling and she'd never met someone as cruel as me for not letting a father see his baby. I told her that my husband made his decision and that this was his doing, not mine. But now, I can't help but feel cruel in my actions and feel like I'm depriving my baby of both her parents being together. My husband sees her a few hours each day now. Am I the jerk? I feel like this is useful information and could explain why I was so mad. Anna's brother was not in a life-death situation. He had serious injuries, but most were concentrated on his legs and arm. He did have a concussion but gained consciousness soon. Anna was there along with both her parents who managed all the hospital stuff. My husband was there as emotional support for Anna. I did let my husband see our baby right after I got discharged. I wanted a couple days of rest and bonding with the baby since my emotions were so high, and I was afraid if my husband was a continuous presence, I'd get stressed and something bad would happen. I told him as such. They spend time together, but I'm still cold with him. I may still be the jerk, I don't know, but I'm still so mad at him, and it's not the first time he put Anna before me. I can forgive the other time since I could handle it, but this time was the final straw. I was so scared to hold my baby because I was paranoid the minute I touch her, something would happen to her, and no one was there to comfort me. I only had my dad, but he wasn't in the delivery room, which is why I'm not too keen on forgiving my husband. Also, we both knew the baby was due any time now, so I don't understand why my husband didn't have his phone on him. We even tried reaching out to Anna and she didn't pick up either. After he learned I was giving birth, they already knew that Anna's brother was going to be alright. He spent that time making sure that Anna was okay and feeding her, and then waiting for the brother to regain consciousness. He could have come back after seeing his daughter to talk with the brother. He would have made it back in time. I'm not preventing him from ever seeing his baby. That would be unreasonable. He literally saw her about a day later when we were discharged and safely at my dad's home. He already missed the first 5 hours of her life on purpose, choosing Anna over her, so I didn't think an additional day would make much difference. It didn't to him. He was happy to see the baby when he did, and he spends time with her regularly. She's 2 months old now. Also, I'm not mad about the fact he went to see Anna. I'm upset that he didn't consider us a high priority to rush back to. He left me so quickly in the middle of the night when I was already overdue. Couldn't he have left Anna in the care of her parents and rushed back as soon as possible? She's not a child and she doesn't have any mental health issues either. I apologize for all the edits, but someone just messaged me this. What if my baby was stillborn again? He would have had no way to know since we had no contact after I gave birth. Thankfully, my baby is healthy and well, but it was a possibility. Thank you everyone for your replies. I think that I was a jerk for using my child against him and should have told him that he could hold her and then asked him to leave. So the divorce is probably going to happen. My brother is looking at lawyers for me. In the midst of this whole mess, this post made me realize I never checked on Anna's brother to see how he's recovering because I was so annoyed by Anna. I called him, and he said that he was doing well and will be out of his wheelchair soon. He asked about me and the baby and how I was doing with the split, and if I was okay with my husband and Anna. I can't believe I was so oblivious. I thought they had an emotional thing going on because of this, and when I confronted my husband, he denied it and said me and our baby were his priority, and he made a mistake, and he was being dumb. No, Anna's brother kindly informed me that he and Anna's parents thought that my husband and I split when I was 7 months pregnant, and that Anna and him were back together. He showed up at the hospital as Anna's boyfriend, which is why they didn't bat an eye that he was there and not with his pregnant wife, because apparently we split. Her brother's procedures were done well before the afternoon, so I don't know what my husband and Anna were doing for all those hours, but I don't even want to know. If you want more details, I can answer in a comment. Thanks everyone for your kind words and advice. I will be moving back home and filing for full custody. I don't want my baby growing up to be like her father or Anna. He can be a fun dad or whatever it is he wants to be. This is an emotionally charged, complex situation. It's clear that the wife felt abandoned by her husband in a moment of utmost vulnerability and importance. The husband's actions demonstrated a disregard for his wife's needs and the importance of the birth of their child. The subsequent revelations about the husband's relationship with Anna add another layer of betrayal. This story is a heartbreaking example of broken trust, and it's clear that the wife's reactions and feelings are rooted in deep hurt and anger. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.